Hello, everyone. So yes, I'm going to talk about human-cyborg relations, or riff with robots to achieve your vision, because my central thesis is that AI and AI creativity is useless without humans, and that the soul in the Soulscape is us, and that what AI brings is the opportunity to scale your own creativity and your own vision. Hey, it works. So, thank you. So I've been doing this for a while. I have been working at the intersection of creativity and technology for over 30 years. First wave of VR, web OG, research in multimedia at Bell Labs, early AGI work with the now infamous Ben Goertzel, who's awesome. SIGGRAPH talks about creating procedural shading, all sorts of things. And so for many, many years, people have always been talking about how technology is going to take over human creativity, whatever it may be. It's going to be CGI, it's going to be proceduralism, it's going to be genetic programming, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, without the human in the loop, we can't create any of these things that people know and love. Because I see Gen AI as an opportunity for artists. You are the creative engine. So what you can get out of working with Gen AI effectively is a crew that is always on, always there for you, can amplify your creativity, can be a sounding board, to enable you to create your vision that maybe before you didn't have the money, you didn't have the large set of highly talented friends who could be your own crew for you for free for whatever reason, because they love you that much. So with Gen AI, you as the creative engine can use it to be a note giver. And like any note giver, you got to take half of what it says with a grain of salt. Like, I don't take what I get from a studio note reader as the gospel truth any more than I do from if I feed something into Claude and ask Claude what it thought of the script. It is a tireless editor. All of the tedious copy editing, formatting, reformatting, restructuring, putting something into this particular beat sheet format or that particular beat sheet format, all of these process things that you do as you're iterating and refining, getting things ready to polish for presentation and so on, it can do a lot of the grunt work for you, but under your direction. Because if you've worked with the technology at all, I think you've realized by now that if you just ask it to do something vague, one shot, you get kind of mediocre results. It's the iteration between the human and the robot that makes Gen AI actually useful and interesting, I believe. I think it's also an opportunity that we talked about for those of you who were here a minute ago to make spectacle affordable. I think that the cost wars that we're seeing with the credits right now enables a small team or an independent filmmaker to create something that looks much more expensive than it was compared to what you could have made with a similar budget 2 years ago. And that, I think, the value of that is not that, oh, kitchen sink stories are worthless. I think spectacle allows people to stand out. It allows you to do something that is eye-catching and gripping and immediately captures attention, which helps you build an audience, which helps you draw people into your story. And I think putting that power in the hands of more people, it allows more voices to have an opportunity to be heard, which I think is a great opportunity that Gen AI is bringing right now that people are seizing around the world. Working with Gen AI removes the gatekeepers and lets you speak directly to audiences. You can create something yourself. Now, you can't create something great by yourself if you have no talent. Like, Gen AI is not actually a replacement for talent or vision. But if you were someone who could have directed a film crew to make a film, could have directed a game crew to make a game, you can work with Gen AI to create similar results if you've got the talent and the time. because the technology enables you to be able to implement a lot of the fine details, a lot of the sort of, I hate to call it grunt work, but the like, the foundation building work that you need to do to create anything. It's a great force multiplier for an independent artist or a small team. But it does nothing creative without your artistic guidance, right? Like, if you understand how LLMs work, if you understand how diffusion models work, it's your input, the prompts that you give, the refinements that you make, the reprompting, the feeding inputs into other inputs, the creating agentic commands and parameters that you then send out to work together to create certain results. It's the refinements and the iterations that you make together with the technology that create good results. If you just walk up to an LLM and say, make me a movie, it's not going to be what you had in mind. It's not going to be very good. So, riff with the robots. The creative pipeline is still the creative pipeline. You have to develop an idea into a story, right? You have to write the story. You have to create the world, the visual world, the concept art. You have to create the assets, your characters, your sets, your props. Then you start building your shots. You build them as storyboards and keyframes, generate the video, generate the dialogue, and put it all together. So when you riff with the robots, everyone right now, like you look at it and people say, oh, okay, you can just go and generate. You're just going to walk in, you're going to up to VO3, and you're going to say, make this shot. And that's true to a certain extent, but the opportunity here is for you to build a whole film crew or video game making crew or music video making crew or whatever out of these technological pieces to use what people are calling agentic systems, what you can look at as a film crew, to create a pipeline and have help at each stage, to have a collaborator who can riff on your story with you and give you ideas and give you feedback and help you structure things, to be able to then feed that into prompts and have the AI itself help you write the prompts that you're putting into these generators so that it can handle the annoying part of formatting the prompts in such a way that the generator is going to give you a better output. Because keeping up with all that is a hassle, and that's the sort of thing that the systems are good at. But like LLMs aren't just for stochastic creation. Using LLM as a judge to give notes on every step of the process can help you spot things and do those refinements. It can help you find things that you miss because it's tireless. It also hallucinates, so it still needs you to be the final judge, but it's another way in which it can help you scale, because creation isn't just one shot, it's iterative. And having iterative assistance in running that process is really, really helpful and cost-effective, and enables you to really up the game in your creations. As concepts become assets in Gen AI, it also creates, compresses the steps, right? Like in working with Gen AI, if you do your concept generation in the same visual style as your final piece, you're effectively creating assets as you approve a concept. And it's helping to compress the creative pipeline and make it more efficient. Similarly, if you're generating your storyboards in the same visual style as your ultimate output, those become keyframes. Like storyboards don't need to be re-rendered, re-laid out, staged on a set. You can just feed them right into the video generator without format conversion. And then using style references and deep prompts, you can go from sketch or first generation to final asset in minutes, which is pretty awesome. But you still, if you're making a substantial creative product, you have to do a lot of that. So it's not just instant, one click, it's coming out. But it's helping you streamline the process and carry out tasks that normally took large groups of people with a much smaller group or even by yourself. So like when I made The Seeker, which is the 23-minute film that I released end of last year, the entire project up through editing was just me. I did everything. I did all of the screenwriting myself. I used InWorld to generate all the dialogue. I used a variety of different image and video generators to do all of the assets that I would reference into keyframes, build the keyframes into video using the video generators. I then put it in Premiere. I cut it myself. The other person that I had work with me was a sound person. Because I had a deadline, I didn't have time to do all of the sound effects, sound editing, and sound mixing myself. And then our executive producer did not like 2 of the digital voices, so we did a recording with 2 actresses. So, and then one other artist did 2 After Effects shots for me. So the entire 23-minute film was made with 2 people and a bunch of AI tools that I would use iteratively to help refine each of the visual steps in the pipeline. And iteration becomes really fast with these tools. Like that's one of the great things. Like they're wrong, but they're wrong really fast. And so the faster you can be wrong, the faster you can get to not being wrong anymore. And as absurd and frustrating as it sounds and actually is that some of the Gen AI films that are out there right now that people know and love, if you're following the industry, took up to 3,500 generations for one single shot. Automating that process and having that process backed up with technology that enables it so that it is doing the reprompting, the prompt iteration changes based on the notes that you're giving it very quickly, where you just give a note and it translates that into a refinement of the prompt and then it sends the next generation back. That 3,500 iterations, while frustrating, is a lot less frustrating than if you had to do 3,500 takes on set, right? Like, and it's a lot faster. And it's currently, because of the credit wars, a lot cheaper. But riffing with the robots, letting them try new things, it's your discernment and creativity that's going to build a compelling story from those elements. Like, you are still the person who has to have the vision. You have to be able to tell this virtual film crew or this virtual video game crew what to do. You have to be able to express what outputs you want, what outcomes you want to see, in order to make your vision come true. Because hallucinations can be fun, but storytelling is intent. And you have to establish the vision and be able to direct these virtual crews to, with precision, implement your expression. So you also have to do some riffing. And I say, like, first step, pipeline, just add AI. Second step, pipeline, just add human. You being a part of this iteration process is going to get you to the result of your vision of what you want to create faster, which sounds like contradictory to the promise of AI, but that's because the promise of AI, if you believe the weird libertarian pipe dream promise of one person can create a whole universe by themselves, is not actually true. It requires iterative input, it requires human input, it requires the human soul to guide it in order to create something that's compelling to other humans. If you want to make movies or video games for other AIs, then yes, just say, Claude, make me a movie, and let it do it, and Claude will love the movie that it made. But if you're trying to, but if your audience is other humans, you need to bring the human element to implement your vision, to be able to tell the story that you want to tell. So being able to hand edit your images to fix a keyframe faster, to be able to do a visual sketch over and feed that into Nano Banana to relay out a keyframe, to redesign a asset, using motion capture and motion transfer, like I'm sure many of you have seen all the videos John Finger does for Luma with motion transfer. Style transfers, video to video, using all of these human inputs to help control and add precision and guidance to what the AI is doing are going to get you to the results that you're looking for as a creator, as an artist, as a visionary, much more effectively. Because probabilistic token predictors are not life forms. They're powerful tools that we can use for a lot of exciting and interesting things, but the more you bring, the more you have. The human voice in your story will be the thing that draws a human audience to your story. The human touch to your images will be the things that draw the human eye to your productions. So being able to, in this process, do some writing, do some sketching, do some redraws, do some Photoshop work, do some 3D work, is going to help expedite you getting the control and the precision that you want to implement your vision. And also, if you happen to care about copyright, the current stance of the US Copyright Office is that you can't own something that was only created with prompts. So at some point, you had to do some writing and some drawing if you want to actually own fully copyrightably, defensibly the output. So the lawyers are giving the artists a little kick in the butt there to stay involved. Because I think the future is humans enhanced by AI, not replaced by AI. I think the people who think they're going to upload themselves into a MacBook Air and become Skynet all on their own are out to lunch. I think this is a tool that can enable us, if used correctly, to do some pretty amazing things as independent creators, as small teams, even as large teams. Because human creativity augmented and multiplied by AI that's trained on a whole world of human creativity is a very powerful tool. And I think that without AI, you're limiting your creative commercial prospects as an artist, which is something I so far unsuccessfully tell my kids all the time. And I think without people, AI is banal and tedious. And I also think that people do need to keep creating even without AI, regardless, and for a couple of reasons. One, it's part of the human soul to create, and that creativity is what drives us to be able to make things like AI in the first place. And two, at a very practical level, I think you've probably all already seen AI-generated work fall into ruts and keep generating the same thing over and over again. And if people don't keep creating awesome new things to feed into the system, it's going to keep spitting out the same thing over and over again. So, you know, we're still needed. We are still the soul. We are still the creative engine. We are still the ones driving this technology to be able to do things that we find compelling and interesting and engaging. So, thank you. We have 1 minute and 52 seconds for questions, if anyone has any questions. Yes.
You know I'm going to completely agree with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. No, okay.
But my question to you, and I don't want you to betray anything that you're involved in, but do you think that message is getting up to the groups that are hiring people like you and I to come into their companies, institute AI in their media pipelines? How do you think that message lands with them?
In terms of the sort of executives at the top who are running these companies, I think that message is landing with at least some of them. I'm lucky because our vice chairman of the company I work at, Geostar, at an event in Singapore earlier this year, straight up said that his vision is to have Gen AI augment the human artists in a way that enables them to create things they never could create before, and that his goal is to use this technology to cost effectively bring India to the forefront of global entertainment production by being able to make things that are globally competitive at prices that are profitable within the Indian marketplace. So there are some people who totally get it, like who very much see it as something that will enable the artists to create bigger and better, but that human artists need to be involved. Probably not every executive gets it, but I think some of them do. Yeah?
Let's go counter programming. What do you think the most people in AI generative AI is getting wrong today?
Oh, what do I think most people in generative AI are getting wrong today?
Or on the AI spectrum of creation, are getting wrong about where things are going or should be going?
Where should be going? I think that there's two things for me that people are getting more wrong. One is an overemphasis on automation and the idea that everything should be done by the machine as opposed to being something that is like I look at it more like Iron Man's armor. Like Iron Man with his armor can do much more awesome things. Iron Man's armor without Iron Man can't do shit. And then I think the other thing that a lot of creators are getting, what I see is not so awesome, other people love it, is I'm a little tired of derivative works. Like, I do not need to see the 175,000th Star Wars fan film. Much as I love Star Wars, I'm a little over it. Like, I do want to see more people use it to create new worlds and new visions and for voices that hadn't been heard before to be able to say things to the world that they couldn't have necessarily had the access to say before. Great. Thank you, everyone.